Hello, welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making pork chops with gravy. Okay, to start with, you're going to need pork chops. It doesn't matter how many you're making, you can make just two or several. It just depends on how many you need for the time. Put the pork chops into a bowl, and to this you're going to add buttermilk. This is going to help your coating and anything you want to put on the outside stick to it. There's no set amount for how much buttermilk you use, you just need enough to coat it. Turn the pork chops back and forth in the buttermilk until you get it completely coating the outside, that way everything will stick. So once you have everything mixed up with the buttermilk, go ahead on a platter and add 1/2 cup of flour and 1/2 cup of Italian breadcrumbs. Mix them together. And then you're going to take your pork chops and you're going to actually just lay them right on top and flip them back and forth until they're well coated. Usually this only takes like 1 or 2 flips and then you've got it. As you can see, the more buttermilk you have on the outside of your pork chops, the better this does stick. Now, take a frying pan, get your oil in it hot. You're going to need oil to cover the entire bottom of the pans to make sure that nothing sticks. But I suggest you actually get the oil up to temperature before you put in the pork chops. Once you lay them inside, you'll notice there's a little sizzle underneath. That means you did it well. To this, you're going to add salt and pepper to taste on top of the pork chops. And then we're going to use Memphis-style barbecue seasoning. You can buy this at the Dollar Tree. It only costs $1.25 these days because they changed their prices. However, it tastes really great on pork, chicken, whatever. As your pork chops are in the pan, you're going to notice it's going to sizzle more and more. You're going to want to flip them from time to time to make sure you're coating each side. The ideal thing is to continue flipping these until they're well done because you don't want raw pork. And they're going to turn brown on the outside, a golden brown. When you flip them over, the side that you had already put the seasoning on goes down. Then when the other side is up, put seasoning on the back side. Once these turn golden brown, it's very obvious that they are done because they're going to have areas they're going to turn brown. Once you get there, it's very obvious. Once they're completely cooked, you're going to want to remove them from the pan and set them aside on a plate. Do not discard what's in your pan. You're going to use this to make gravy. So as your pan is still sizzling and hot with your oil in it, you're going to get ready to add flour. When you do this, depending on how much gravy you want, you're going to either use like 1/4 to 1/2 of a cup of flour, because the more flour, the more you're going to get gravy. So if you want a lot of gravy, go ahead and add more flour to it. There's plenty of oil for this once you have this already in your pan. Mix it together and you're going to keep turning it around until everything is pretty smooth and there are no large clumps, or it's not going to be all dry looking because the oil will mix with the flour. Once you mix it thoroughly, you might want to let it cook for about, a minute or so, because while it's doing this, the flavor from the oil and anything that was left over from the pork chops is mixing in to give it a taste. And the longer you let it sit, the more the flavor grows. Once you have it completely mixed up and you're ready to add water, you're going to add 1.5 cups to 2 cups of water, depending on how much flour you put in. Put it in, I go 1/2 cup a time of pouring in water until you get up to the desired amount, because as you do, you have to work the water into the flour. And that's going to take a second to do. So as it starts to dry out a little bit, then you add a little more water. And like I said, if you have to go up to 2 cups, that's fine, because it depends on how much you had in the pan to begin with. And once it becomes pretty smooth and silky looking and not dried out, you know you've gotten it to the right place. If you have lumps as you're stirring, don't worry, you keep stirring, they go away. It might take a minute. You can break them up. And then if it's just too much, add a little bit more water and keep stirring. Now, once you get this completely mixed through and you've given it a second to come up to temperature, you're going to want to add your pork chops back into the gravy. As you can see in the image, the gravy is actually quite smooth now. It's mixed together quite well. Put your pork chops in. You're going to want to flip them back and forth to get the gravy on both sides, or you can spoon it over top, however you want to do it. Now, once you have everything back in the pan and it's simmering, you have the option of adding some salt and pepper on top of it to give the gravy a little bit of a punch, a little bit more flavor. It is your choice if you use it or not. If you don't want a lot of salt, then by all means don't use it. But you could always do a taste test just to see how it tastes, because nobody likes bland gravy, but the salt and pepper does really punch it up. So this is what you get in the end. You have pork chops with gravy, and they are a great meal for dinner, lunch, whenever. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Have a great one.